Hello everyone. So to continue the last video about predation, so I want to highlight that some plants are predatory. So we have carnivorous plants that have evolved or adapted in order to capture ants, and the reason for that is the supply of the nitrogen for the plant. So they are photosynthetic plant. They get the carbohydrates by photosynthesis as usual, but in order to get the nitrogen, they have evolved or adapted into predatory plants, and we have the type of Venus flytrap and pitcher plants. Both of them are examples of predatory plants. So moving on to the next type of interaction, we have symbiosis. So in this type, symbiosis comes from the word symb, means living together or together, and biosis is living. So symb means together, and biosis, so here two organisms are living together in an intimate or in a direct contact. One of them is going to be the host. This is usually the organism that is bigger in size, so the host will host the other organism, the other symbiotic organism, and this symbiosis can be classified as parasitism or mutualism or commensalism, as we will see in the next slides. So by parasitism we mean plus minus interaction. One organism is getting benefit, usually it is getting nutrition, and the other one is getting harm, so it is being negatively affected by this interaction, and this can be classified as endoparasites or ectoparasites. So in the endoparasites, the parasites live within the body of their host, so you can think of nematodes, for example, living inside their host. And in the ectoparasites, the parasite here is living on the external surface, on the skin of the host. So for example, you can think of ticks or lice living on the skin of the host. So again, going back to plants, so some plants can be parasitic. So in previous slides we have shown plants that are predatory, and here again, some plants are also parasitic. They absorb minerals and sugars from their living host plants, and you can see this plant is actually absorbing the sugars and the minerals from the host plant. The second type of symbiotic relationship is mutualism, and here both organisms are getting benefit, so it's a mutual benefit plus interaction. Both of them are benefited from this relationship, and this mutualism can be divided into obligate mutualism or facultative mutualism. So obligate mutualism, where one species cannot survive without the other. For example, if we think of a flower, and this flower depends on one type of pollinator, so this is an obligate mutualistic relationship. While if we think of another flower that can self-pollinate, and in addition to that it depends on multi pollinators, so in this case we are talking about facultative relationship. So both of them, they can survive alone without this mutualistic relationship, so it is an facultative relationship. We have seen different examples of this mutualistic relationship. For example, the one that exists between Rhizobium bacterium and the roots of legumes. So we have the nodules. These nodules provide the anaerobic conditions for the Rhizobium in order to fix nitrogen. So the benefit that the plant will get is fixed nitrogen provided by the Rhizobium, and the Rhizobium will get the benefit of sugars, so they will obtain the carbohydrates from the photosynthetic plant. Another mutualistic relationship is found between fungi and plants. We call it the mycorrhizae. So myco means fungi, rhizae means root. So here the fungi is benefited from the continuous supply of sugars from the host plant, and the plant root is being extended, so it now extended by the hyphae of the fungi, so now it can absorb more water and more minerals, and it can reach out deeper in the soil with the help of the extended network of the hyphae of the fungi. Moving on, we have also commensalism. So this is also type of a symbiotic relationship, and it is classified as plus zero interaction. So one organism is getting benefit while the other is not apparently unaffected. And why we say apparently? Because actually this type of relationship is hard to document in nature, because usually with some such close association may likely affect both species. So you may come with argue that the other organism is affected by plus or minus way in some sense, but we look to the broad picture. So for example, here we have the cattle egrets that eat the insects. These insects come from the movement of cattle and things like that. When they move, they mix the soil, they release the insects, so this bird eats these insects. So you may say that the buffalo or the cattle is also benefited from this relationship, because these insects may at least annoy or harm the buffalo. But as you can see, this is something very minor. This is nearly negligible. So in this case, we will consider it as zero, but we said it is apparently, because sometimes with close attention to the relationship, you can come up with argues that the other part of the relationship is also affected by plus or minus. And it is not a zero interaction in some cases. The other example that we will get is the epiphytes. So epi means above, phytes means plants. So this is a type where we find some plants growing on other plants. So in this case, they are not parasitic. They are not using the host plant as for supply of carbohydrates. We usually see this in tropical areas where the competition for sunlight is high. So this plant is actually using the other host plant in order to grow higher, in order to get exposure for the sunlight. So here it is not causing any harm for the host, but it is getting benefit from this relationship. So this brings us to the end of this video, and as you can see, we have covered the first three types of ecology, and as we said, we are not going to cover the remaining types. Thank you so much. Wishing you all the best. Thank you.